with economic and social justice. That's our Thursday evening programs, which comes on from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And tonight's topic is essentially dealing with the homeless Americans, civil and economic rights. And we're going to make sure we get to the bottom of this situation. Homelessness is a real tragedy and a travesty if you think about it. In the richest country in the world, the United States of America, there are approximately 530,000 homeless Americans any moment in the year, any day in the year, according to the census data of the surveyors, actually the volunteers who go out and survey. 500,000 homeless people in a given point during the year. If you include all of the Americans who are homeless sometime during the year, that number shoots up to 1.5 million. If you include those who are insecure as far as housing goes, and they're doubling up with people because they've lost their housing, they've lost their homes, they're living with relatives or friends, some sleeping on the couch, that comes out to about 7 million Americans in homes that would be classified low-income poor homes, actually, where people with poverty is the basic condition, and really calls for a real revamping of our policies in America to ensure that the richest country in the history of the world, the largest economy in the history of the world, will actually provide housing, an opportunity for every single American to be able to earn their housing and to have housing, whether it be a rental apartment or a condominium or a home that someone owns, a house, some way to be able to have a real significant roof over their heads that keeps them secure and safe in their own place. And the old saying is that a person's home is his castle. So it's time that we make sure every single American has a home. And we're going to be talking to some very important now. Hello, good evening. Good evening. How are you doing?
Great. I was just watching a little bit of you on YouTube.
I was just starting to talk about it. Go ahead.
It's been a very busy day for the homeless.
Yes, I could imagine. I can say what you will certainly be telling us all about it. I'm just about to wrap up the introduction to the show. If you could just hold on for about 3 or 4 minutes, Tina, if you don't mind. Just you can stay on the line, and with other people calling, they can join you after a while. But we'll have you on there and have a chance to talk about all of these things. Michael will be coming in also, Michael Tiffany. So in about 5 minutes, Michael, go ahead, Tina, go ahead.
What you're doing now on YouTube about homeless Americans, was that pre-recorded, the intro?
No, it's not actually. I'm doing it live right now. So may I just finish it up real quickly here, and then we can get you and Michael on there for the next hour, okay?
Yeah,
Hang on, don't go anywhere now. Is Michael going to call in right away? Can he call in also then in a few minutes? But maybe about 3 minutes, okay? That should be fine.
I'll hang on, and he's calling in.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. So as I was saying, folks, we have the wealthiest country in the history of the world, 17 to 20 trillion dollar economy annually, and yet we allow 7 million of our people to be housing insecure, meaning basically they're doubling up because they've lost their homes, or they're out in the street having lost their homes, or they're in temporary shelters. And this is just unacceptable. It's immoral in my view. It's unethical, immoral. It's really un-American, because this is the land of opportunity, as we say to the whole world, the land of opportunity, and yet we are having our own people who have lost their jobs, mainly because of outsourcing. Many of these politicians have been bought and paid for by the corporate lobbyists, and the big corporations have actually gone out and taken our jobs overseas. They've actually, for example, when Nike shut its factory down to Indonesia to pay the women 20 cents an hour, and those middle class, working class Americans lost their jobs at the Nike factories that were paying pretty decent wages, that was subsidized by the US government. The US government actually pays for the moving expenses of corporations that go overseas and leave our people in the lurch here with no jobs and therefore with no homes. Because that's what happened. If you don't have a good, steady, high-paying, well enough paying job, you're going to end up homeless. That could be any of us. Any of us could lose our jobs anytime. And there are a lot of myths that will be exploded tonight, because Tina Crawford, our guest, along with Michael, who are both very active in the movement to help empower homeless people, homeless Americans. They're going to be with us tonight. We're going to have them on in just about a minute or two, actually, because it's very important we hear from the folks that are out there in the field, on the street, and that are also in the hallways of government. In fact, Tina Crawford actually worked to contact mayors of cities throughout the United States to stop them from passing laws through the city councils that criminalize homelessness, that do homeless sweeps and just push people who are homeless off the streets and into gutters and everywhere else they can handle their lives, which is not very well. These cities are doing this service to our people who are Americans who are homeless for no fault of their own in almost every single case. So Tina will be talking about her experiences in those situations, but also in her political activism work to help alleviate this problem and get rid of it and help to solve it, actually. And Michael Tiffany is also the media person for a lot of the work that Tina has been doing with organizations. Michael Tiffany has been the media person who gets the word out, and he's the one who arranged for this interview, actually. Thank you, Michael Tiffany. Hopefully he'll be calling us real soon. Are you on the other line right now, Michael, or are you going to call in? Tina, is Michael on the other line?
He should be calling in right now.
Okay, yeah, he'll be calling in just a second. So Michael Tiffany is the man who I met originally to be able to line up this program, because he knows Tina Crawford. He's been working with her for many years, and they'll tell you about their actual work and what they've been doing and how they've been doing it. But thank you, Michael, for arranging this. He'll be calling in. Let's give Tina some time now to talk about her life and her work. Are you ready to go, Tina? In fact, Michael's calling right now. Let me get Michael. Hey, Tina, don't go anywhere. Stay right there.
Okay.
Hello, good evening, Michael. Michael Tiffany, is that you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good to have you on here, sir. I was just talking a bit about the kind of work that you and Tina have been doing and your media aspect of the work, as well as Tina's political and on-the-ground aspect. So both of you are here. Let's hear from you now. I don't want to do all the talking here. Let's hear from you in terms of what your work is, what the challenges are, and what has brought about the situation of homelessness in America and what you're doing about it, okay? So go right ahead, either of you.
Well, I think we need to, work to not only help the people who become, not homeless any longer, but we also need to work within the political system to make sure that this doesn't get to be out of hand. I think there's definitely some opportunities to do that, but it's a very, very difficult situation to do, particularly when you seem to really have that only corporations have a voice in the political arena almost.
Yes.
I think we need to bring it to the attention of people and initiate discussion. I think there's some myths about the homeless at this point that need to be dispelled.
Yes.
And need to be seriously looked at. Right.
What were you saying, Tina?
I said it's a joke. If people would just sit down and look at the percentages, and these are guesstimates. You can find one study and then 10 more studies will come out and discredit it. But I've been doing this for a year and a half this Monday, and I am I work in the trenches, but I am so way further past that. I get involved with legislation, go on every radio station that Michael can get me on, and I call these mayors out, start petitions, jump on board with their petitions.
Yes.
I see way past it. Now I'm joining Continuum of Care, which is funded by HUD to help the homeless. I mean, we're sitting on $2 million specifically for the homeless, and what are they doing?
What are they doing?
Are they down Reverend Larry Rice's New Life Evangelistic Center? He personally called me at the beginning of the year. And one other homeless advocate to be on his team. And so I started a petition for him, and it was probably the saddest thing I've ever seen. 46 years in operation, providing a warm bed at night to 250 people and a meal, clothes, and a shower. And then he had 50 permanent residents living there because they were in his integrated leadership program to learn social skills, job training, everything, so they could go out and get a job and get back on their feet. And then they have a daycare center, Bible study, all kinds of stuff. And just because one of our lovely new mayor, Lyda Cruzen, eventually I can tell you the quote. She said,
Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. Is your phone? Try it again. Move it a little bit more. So a little bit over. Perhaps you can get a clearer the reception. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. There's so many people. There's the homeless isn't being being homeless is an epidemic across this country. We will never eradicate homelessness. It will never be down to zero. Some cities do a great job working with the homeless instead of trying to throw money at another city to bus out their homeless and then take them into a different state and city. I mean, that's being held against your will. And trust me.
Against your will. You're saying it's against the will of the people who are being taken away to other cities sometimes.
The U.S. Constitution, the supreme law of the land by heart. I know the 1964 Civil Rights Act, the ADA, and the Hate Crimes Act. And I'm telling you that all these little city ordinances that get passed by City Hall, the 28 aldermen, individual blocks, they're called wards of the city. And it doesn't even go to voters.
I'm sorry, Tina, are you speaking of St. Louis specifically in this case?
Yeah, this is in St. Louis. We jump all over.
Okay.
We jump into everything. But in St. Louis, it was so bad last year that this newly appointed alderman of the 7th Ward, Alderman Jack Kotar, put out a proposal number 66. Hadn't submitted it to the president of the Board of Aldermen of St. Louis City. Has to be asked by him, and then it gets passed down to the 28 aldermen. And then it goes to the mayor's desk if they all have approved, the 28 aldermen. It goes to the mayor's desk for signature. And this guy, he's quoted as saying 2 years ago in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, I am humbled, appointed in these wards. I am humbled to represent the homeless, the poor, the average. Really? Then he puts out this proposal number 66 that says it is that all these right for now, put a Band-Aid on it, charity-based groups like us. I don't mean being called the right organization. When the politicians and the experts drop the ball, we have to be there to fill in the gaps, us grassroots people.
Yeah.
So we're in the trenches with them. What can we do? The shower trucks come in. Some places they give a catered meal. And so this alderman, Jack Kotar, put out a proposal and the newspapers got a hold of it, what happened.
Okay.
This is like a year and a half. Said that not only is he saying that every single one of us advocates or volunteers that come to our charities, and this is like, I go down 4 or 5 times a week if I'm healthy, wants to say that we have to have a vendor's license. Like the little parade people selling their bubbles and their goodies off a cart.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
License. Free.
You have to have. They said that you have to have a vendor's license to give away things free to people who need them. Is that what you're saying?
Free thing, yes. And I said when I contacted him every day for 14 months.
So Tina, if you don't mind me asking, may I just ask you a quick question? What kinds of things were you giving away to the people?
Clothes, sometimes, definitely bottled water.
Yes.
Blankets, all kinds of stuff, winter provisions. I had a backpack of Hope campaign that I bought these awesome, I had to fund it myself because their charity was so new. Put me way in debt, but you know what? I would do it again.
So these are necessities. People need these items. They really need them to live.
They do.
Absolutely.
And I'm so sick of the criminalization of the homeless everywhere. It is despicable. I mean, thank God in Denver, the homeless finally stood together, like thousands of them.
Yes.
And you can see them on the sidewalk with the police officers in front of them, and they filed a class action suit. And
good for them.
We want to be treated as a class of citizens.
Yes.
And we are touched. A lot of homeless people, instead of going into shelters because there's bed bugs and junk like that, whatever, not a lot.
Yes.
But they just don't like it, your stuff gets. But they live in tents in the back in the woods.
Yeah.
Now that's their own private little area. Some of their work clothes are in there, some of them work part-time. And then they make, enforcement makes a big production on these tent city encampments. They get a bulldozer in the front of the line. Second, they get a waste management dump truck, and then 4 police cars going into the woods, all in line, like with their lights on, like it's a parade. And they bulldoze through anything in its way, including trees and all their tents, and dump everything into the waste management dump truck.
That is horrendous.
And I've been saying on air, every radio show, every internet show, everything.
Yes.
Even with lawyers, as guests too on there, saying this. They call them sweeps. I just call them bulldozing, but they are called sweeps. And in Denver, they filed a class action suit against the city of Denver last November. The ruling came out in April. They're going to have to go to more court dates. The judge, as I was saying for over 12 months on air, even disputing with this lawyer, saying, you're wrong. I said, if I'm wrong, I will retract it, but I know I'm not wrong because I was accepted to law school. I know this stuff. I'm not an idiot on law. And I even went back in before I became a homeless advocate and spent 3 months in the law library. So I was like, is against the Fourth Amendment constitutional right, illegal search and seizure.
Yes.
You have to have a warrant with every single person's on it. They have to take it to a judge. You think a judge is going to sign off on that? Knowing it's against the Fourth Amendment right?
So what happened with the ruling? Tina, if you don't mind me asking, what happened in the ruling, the judge's ruling in the Denver case? The April.
He ruled in favor of the homeless, saying they are to be a class of citizens, and it took him, since last November to make the ruling in April of this year. But they have several more court dates. But the thing is,
so that's going to be, you're saying that's going to be appealed, right? That's going to be appealed. But that was a tremendous ruling, wasn't it, in favor of our people?
To say finally a judge recognized the U.S. Constitution, the supreme law of land, and all these city ordinances, all these state laws that don't go to the voters, only the alderman or the governor, and they get signed off through the legislature or through the board of aldermen by the mayor. And then they're posted up on the street, slapped up a sign saying can't feed the homeless. It's not illegal to feed the homeless. And it's illegal for a homeless person to sleep in a park when it's open. But boy, do those police officers have those guys nailed down by first name and last, if not street name. And they go into the park and just pick that guy out and arrest him. Now, you think that's what our Fourth Amendment right was for? Like our founding forefathers sat down at the table and said, maybe you should just write this for a certain class of people.
No, it was for everyone. Everyone in America. Everyone in America. That's who it applied to, the Fourth Amendment.
He ruled, this federal circuit judge or whatever ruled, I believe this is a violation of the Fourth Amendment constitutional right. And oh my gosh, if I could have done a cartwheel in this room, I was
you would have done it.
Saying, you guys, so I went back on air with the same lawyer dude and legalese analyst, and I said, so you guys, did you hear about the ruling in Denver? Because we've had problems with Mayor Michael Hancock, big time, with the non-urban camping ban. But I was like, well, he ruled in favor of the homeless. They are going to be a class of citizens, and they are in violation of the Fourth Amendment right. That means the police are caught in the middle. It's coming down from the mayor to the chief of police to his officers, which is sick. I have a newfound respect for police officers, but it's like, they try every single darn sign out there is aim, shoot, fire right at the homeless.
So in other words,
you know what?
Excuse me, Tina, I'm really happy to hear that you're distinguishing that the police officers are caught in the middle. It's not they who want to do this, these sweeps. It's the politicians are telling them, you better do it because we're passing these laws. Whether or not it's constitutional or not, they're passing these ordinances that force the police to do this. And many police are probably on your side in their hearts. Is that what you're saying, Tina, more or less?
Yes, and when they pull up and they try to run us off from the park, we used to have 5 charities, including mine, shoulder to shoulder we stood around this park on the sidewalk. They don't own the sidewalk, the taxpayers do.
That's
but they closed the park down. They get 300 people, homeless peeps, and they shut it down. And I'm like, they don't own the sidewalk, we should still do that. And I'm calling them constantly with these ordinances. I said, do you realize, have you ever heard of the United States Constitution? Or the 1960s? I'm like, you are violating these people, violating their rights. And like I told the guy on air who said I was wrong. I said, well, federal circuit judge doesn't seem to think so, does he?
Right. So, Tina, may I ask you, is this case on its way up to higher appeals, to a higher appeals court? Okay, so let's leave this for, if you don't mind, let's leave the case alone for just a minute. I want to talk a bit about what it means like to live on the streets, you know, the human side of it, which many Americans have no clue because they've never been there. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Okay. It's a, you know, when I first started, it took me about 6 months to go down because I'm really a housebound person. But as soon as I finally said, I'm going down there, I called like 6 ministry-based organizations, and went down there. And as soon as I stepped out and put my feet in that snow, I was like, I haven't been this happy in years. God has me right where He wants me. This is it. It's all over. This is what I'm doing the rest of my life.
That's
Get paid
wonderful.
for it, but I don't care.
Yes.
But they feel, you know, I'm friends with a lot of them, and believe it or not, there's so many different ministries out there you can go to, and the 1,300 plus homeless in St. Louis don't all go to the same events, like the same advocacy groups and stuff like that, where they can get a catered meal. So I try to bring some of them over to that side because it's on the far end of the city. But yeah, they feel like crap. They have such severe dental issues.
Yes.
They don't hit the streets from drug and alcohol. That's less than 9%. People who can afford their choice of drug or alcohol have a house.
That's right. They're not homeless.
They have a job, they have money, they have a house.
Yeah.
When people, 35% or more hit the streets from losing a job or falling on hard times.
There you go.
They're the breadwinner. They lost their job. I mean, one of my guys on my board of directors for my charity, he went homeless a few years back, and he lost his job and then couldn't find another one because he's up there in his 60s, and wife and only child died in a car accident. What do you do?
Horrible. How horrible.
He couch surfed for a while, and then he had to go to a homeless shelter. And trust me, I slept in one.
And Tina, many of these shelters, Tina, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but many of these shelters only are short term, aren't they? I mean, 7 or 8 days at a time, some longer?
Shelter has rules. So when I get a text from a homeless person, I have to ask them a bunch of questions. Like, do you have children? Do you have a dog? Do you have a felony?
All kinds of questions.
Some of these shelters actually run this stuff. So I get are you like tipsy right now? Are you on any drugs, street drugs, anything like that? And I said, you need to be honest with me because I'm going to spend a lot of time calling these different shelters and tell them, as soon as you say this is, some of them even heard of me. I say I'm a homeless advocate. They say I know in St. Louis. I said, I got a girl out in D.C. and with 2 kids that needs a shelter immediately. You do a lot of that all day long, and like today's been so busy because.
But how long? Once again, how long can they stay in the shelter? How long are they allowed to stay before they have to leave?
Let you only stay a month. Some let you stay like 2 weeks in, 2 weeks out.
Right.
Just everybody has a rule. There's always a curfew. Males have to be in usually around 6. The females can be in between 7:30. It's different for every shelter. That's why I ask them all these personal questions because I want to get them help and also see if they have a social worker there to help them with their needs, like getting their kids like that. So I spent a lot of time in. Today was crazy. I was going over what nice new mayor, as Lyda Cruzan was saying. Reverend Larry Rice has closed down on the shelter, and the quote in the post is bad. So I'm like, does this lady not know when to put duct tape on her mouth?
Tina, another question about Reverend Rice. Why did they close the shelter down?
Well, it's been operating for 46 years, and like I said, he does a lot of good, but a lot of people don't like him, and he lives like a pauper, really. I mean, he dresses from the 90s. I mean, you can tell it's clothes that he's had his whole life.
Okay.
He has spent 6 years in that shelter, putting 250 people plus in there permanently, but 250 people a night.
Wow.
With warm bed or cool if it's in the summer, and a meal and clothes, a shower.
Right.
So they can keep going in, but they have to be out during the day. Some shelters are like that; they're not an all-day shelter.
Right.
The Biddle House is Biddle Opportunity. center, which we just call the Biddle House. I worked there too. So yeah, they Reverend Rice kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but I knew his heart was in the right place because every time they pulled his occupancy permit 2 years ago, so he's operating with an occupancy permit. Lyda Cruzan was the alderman of the 27th Ward.
Okay.
She was the big with the mouth, all the stuff to the Post-Dispatch. She doesn't care. I mean, and she just hates Reverend Rice. It's obvious. That's what I take of it, her little quotations. I'm like, do you not realize there's like 10 reporters around from all over? This is a big deal. His shelter is closing. I started a worldwide global petition.
So do you mind if I ask you, Tim, I'm sorry, but may I ask you, what were they accusing him of?
Well, they said they pulled his occupancy permit because he was in violation of that. But when they did a head count, he was fine. So that's
okay.
They just don't like him because they actually come out and say he doesn't join Continuum of Care, which is funded by HUD, and it's a group. I'm in it. They're the ones that actually take care of the homeless. They don't just put a key in a homeless person's hand and relabel them as house.
Yeah.
They handhold them all the way through psych evals, meds, doctor's appointment, dental visits, drug and alcohol outreach programs, inpatient, kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So because he didn't belong to that, and he went in a different way than the alderman liked.
I see, and that's why they shut him down. You're saying basically.
Well, that and he received his cease and desist order.
Okay.
Yeah, cease and desist.
Okay,
whatever.
so do you mind if I ask you, and Michael, if he wants to come in on this, are you familiar with what Utah has done with their chronically homeless folks? The state of Utah, and are you familiar with that model that they actually put into place in the last several months to a year, where the government, the state actually pays for those who are homeless to have homes, to have shelter. They rent apartments for families and individuals, right? They put them in a home first. Then they take care of other kinds of needs.
They are one of the lowest homeless in the nation.
Right.
Because they decided to stop throwing money at the homeless to get rid of them and criminalize them and throw them in jail. I'm like, you guys go to jail. 3 hots and a cot, all for free. Some cities are paying $8 million a year just for these criminalizing the homeless when they should go right to a shelter and get the proper skills.
Right. Or even more than a shelter. In Utah, it's actually a home, their own apartment, which gives them stability, and then they can work on other things that they need, re-education. They need it. Many of them are skilled people. They were working in jobs that were laid off. So in this case, when they get a home, then the other needs are addressed, and the state does pay for that. In the long run, it's a lot less expensive. First of all, it's more humane. There's more the way we should be treating our fellow human being and our fellow American. And Utah has done very successfully in this area of reducing and or almost ending chronically homelessness. So what I'm thinking about is why don't we do this on a national level? I mean, we're spending $610 billion on the military, $250 billion just to maintain 1,000 bases around the world, military bases around the world. We have the biggest military budget of any country in the world, even bigger than Russia and China. It's equal to 7 other countries behind us added together. They spend as much or less than we do altogether. And so we're spending and squandering money on weapons that don't even work, and so many other areas where the money could be brought in. And it would take, we were looking at the numbers, and we figured with 500,000 folks that are homeless at any given time in America at a moment in time, you could figure out, you could end up solving this problem for 10, you can come up with $20,000 for each person, $12,000 a year for the rent, for the home for the individual and a few family members. And this would cost about $10 billion. $10 billion would give these folks a place to live and food, and then get them on their feet again. So isn't that better to give a person a hand up, in a sense? And don't we have our brothers and sisters we are our brothers and sisters keepers, right? That's what I believe in. That's what all faiths teach.
Well, that's like Reverend Larry Rice. Whenever a press conference came out saying we're going to close the shelter down because of Lyda Cruzan, our newly elected mayor, who is the most, from her quotes from the Post-Dispatch, are so racist, I wanted to vomit. That's how bad it was. And I can quote them to you and tell you what she said. And she's making all these promises now because there's haters of her. But for the way she criminalized the homeless, doesn't want the muck, the crap. She says they're faking it.
Oh my God, she should go out there and live with them for a while and see if they're faking it. This is what I mean by insensitivity of people who have no clue.
She says they're faking it. They're not hungry. They're not homeless. They decide to panhandle because it's a more lucrative career, and they're lazy. And she's been caught saying, they asked her, "Do you realize she passed the panhandling bill into an ordinance, which is completely in violation of your First Amendment right? It falls under protected speech, and they don't care. Call them all the time. I'm always calling the city hall. Always."
Has that been challenged in court, Tina? Has the panhandling ordinance been challenged in court yet?
No, and it needs to be. That's why I said, in a couple of years, I may run for alderman.
Good for you, Tina.
And just put everything out there. You want to dig into my past? No need. I'll tell you everything, good, bad, the ugly. But my platform is the homeless. Because we have to stop this.
We do. We really do.
That they're doing to them.
Yeah, and I think we should look at the macro, the larger historical picture too. Take, for example, in the 1950s, when America was a big powerhouse of manufacturing, 30% of our workforce was in manufacturing, building refrigerators, building cars, building TV sets, and exporting all over the world. And now it's only less than 9% of our workforce is manufacturing. Many, many people are working 2 and 3 jobs because the jobs that they got that replaced the manufacturing job were jobs like, bartending or waitressing or just going in a hotel and cleaning hotels. That doesn't pay worth a day compared to what they were getting paid in manufacturing. And these politicians are responsible for it, don't you think? To a large extent, a lot of them.
Oh, if the politicians and the so-called experts could get their junk together, with to sit down with the grassroots people like me and Michael and
people, there you go. Yes.
And then we all come together. Instead, we're fighting them like we have to have a vendor's license. Well, some anonymous group put a petition and started. Well, we jumped on it like white on rice. And we push this every radio, morning show, rock and roll radio, every show, every single thing I was on was talking about him because that one was going on at the time.
Yeah.
And we got it. Over 1,500 signatures, and it went to the mayor and all the different aldermen. The proposal has not gone through.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. What they're saying is they want you to get a license to just be able to help people eat and have some clothing. You're giving. You're not selling it. You're giving it away.
Right, and the thing is, it's just like it's crazy because it would cost us $500 every time we go. We have to get a vendor's license. He was proposing, and I'm like, that's ludicrous. And I'm sorry, but I didn't know you became Mr. Webster Dictionary because the true definition of a vendor's license is a person selling little goods or baubles or trinkets for a profit.
That's right.
We were so full of it. I wanted to just jam my
Okay, listen, I want to hear from Michael, if you don't mind, Tina, just for a little bit, and he may have say a thing or two. Also, we're running into the hour when people are going to be calling in. They're going to be calling in at 8:30 our time. It's 10:30 your time. So, folks on the audience, please feel free to call in a couple of minutes at 562-234-3319, so you can speak to Tina and Michael. 562-234-3319. Okay, so we'll put you on the line with them as soon as you call. Meanwhile, Michael, anything you'd like to add to this, sir?
Excuse me?
You would like to add something to what Tina has already said? I want to thank you, first of all, Michael, for arranging this, because you're the media person that got a hold of me for this. I appreciate it.
That's kind of what I've been pretty good at. I started off working with a couple of fledgling pizza delivery driver unions, and I was a press secretary, and I did a lot there, and then I moved on, and then I started producing a music video television show, and then about 2 years into it, Occupy Wall Street came along, so I used to devote a portion of the show to Occupy Wall Street, and so the different skills I had, the things I was doing. That when I met Tina, originally I met her right before the elections last year, and I was already kind of working with 3 different candidates for Congress, and unfortunately none of them actually won. But he
really is. I mean, he has so many contacts, and that's why yanked him in as press and media relations. That's what administrator officer.
He's certainly very successful. He was very successful in getting a hold of me, so I can have you folks come on here and tell your story. I want to thank both of you, especially for Michael for arranging it.
And because we got the backpack of hope, and
backpack of hope, Tina, I'm sorry, we mentioned that on the blurb that we put out on Facebook. The backpack of hope. Can you explain that for a minute to the audience?
Yeah, when I first, December 5th of 2015. That was my very first day. I was a volunteer. I go every Saturday with four other charities, and we line up around the park, and we have like 200 to 300 homeless people. Well, I didn't just sit there and hand out clothes. I'm too much of a talker and a lover and a hugger. So I would go out amongst the crowd and start talking to them and listening to their stories, and I always take a picture with them. Every single homeless person I've taken a picture with, wherever I'm on.
Yes.
And I post them. You really have to put a face to homelessness.
Yes.
Look, we are no different. They were once us. We could be them. Most people are 2 paychecks away from being on the street.
Absolutely correct.
For people to make what?
You're absolutely correct. We're 2 paychecks or 1 paycheck away from being on the street. Many Americans at this day and age.
Right, and everybody gets this notion in their head that they're just drug addicts and alcoholics.
No.
Well, I've been in recovery for almost 19 years. And I'm telling you, they're not on the streets from drugs and alcohol. You can tell. When they hit the streets, who wants to sleep on concrete? I'd be popping pills and drinking booze too.
Exactly. If you're not doing it already, you end up doing it because of the situation you're in. Absolutely correct. Yeah.
Right, and that's Alderman Jack Couture. When I finally got him after about 14 months, I said, what is up with this proposal 66, not feeding the homeless, not doing this? That's all in violation of federal laws and acts. And he mumbled around, and I said, I'm talking about you on air on every radio station, even the UK radio station that Michael got me on.
Yes.
His name, his direct line, they have to answer it. His admin assistant was named Tina, which is funny. They have to answer it because they're elected officials or appointed. Or the mayors are elected. So it just I would go on there and I would tell his phone number and I say, office. And then on the end of the conversation, do you like snow? And he said, yeah, I guess. I said, try sleeping in it for 24 hours.
Try sleeping in snow for 24 hours and see how much you love snow. That's right.
And I said, I'll give you 10 minutes. This is what my homeless kids are doing.
Yeah.
Sleeping in snow and on. We need more outreach programs, but we do have a lot of volunteer groups, and some get a lot of donations. We don't. Yeah. I funded the Backpack of Hope for 8 months last year myself. I buy all these backpacks from Amazon. Then I would go to the dollar store and fill them. I mean, they weighed 13.6 pounds when they were done, each of them. Wow. And fill them with everything a house person would need, from hygiene to all different kinds of food with top lids, utensils, a flashlight, notepad, pens, paper, shaver, razor, water bottles, water. I mean, washcloth. Everything was in there because I couldn't stand it. But put me way in debt, and I can't do that anymore. So my mom convinced me that your time, what you're doing, you spend more work on this than when you were in corporate America. I'm like, I know. She goes, it's like a job to you. I said, no, it's not. It's a journey.
It's a journey. It's a mission.
I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And I didn't even realize I would get this far as like fighting legislation. And I just put a call into Mika Hubbard, who is the alderman of the 5th Ward, where Reverend Larry Rice's shelter was. And I know she wants to put together a homeless bill of rights, like doing in Florida.
A homeless bill of rights.
I'm trying to get a meeting with.
So, Tina, a homeless bill of rights, you said, right? Homeless bill of rights.
For Missouri, right.
For Missouri.
They're all doing it. So many states are doing this. And it's so specific, it can't be tweaked. Any lawyer, it's black and white, and because you wouldn't believe down in Tampa, I have a lot of homeless advocates, and they have a radio show, and I'm on their radio show. Yeah. But I mean, the crap that they do to the homeless people. First, they build a page on in Tampa on the St. Vincent's de Paul Hospital. It has a roof, but it's caged all in, and so there's no provisions against the elements, nothing.
Wow.
And they make them. They have to be in there or go to jail. So they're locked in a cage until the next morning. Then they came out with homeless people have to wear a yellow band on their arm.
Oh my God.
That too, when I went on a different internet show.
How dehumanizing! How dehumanizing that is. You know, just
that's like, you know, when the Jews during the Holocaust, they had to wear something on their lapel, and then I mean, it's disgusting. There's only one race, and
the human race.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, the way they were treated, we were so up in arms. I must have bombarded. I think it's Bob Buckhorn's. Is the mayor. I had everybody calling him saying, "What are you doing? What do I need? Do people need to start wearing the red letter A, the scarlet letter again?" I mean, basically that's what you know, you treat them like caged animals, and just because they've fallen on hard times. I mean, you know, this is, and then that yellow band thing, and I'm not talking about a skinny like those little silicone bands. I'm like a hospital band. Yellow means the only way you can get your homeless services. Oh my God, I launched into orbit.
Yes, just labeling people, just putting labels on them like that and marks on them. It's just so inhuman. It's just not right. It's not humane at all. It's just so this. Yeah, go ahead, Tina.
It's against the 14th Amendment right, which all citizens are to be treated equally.
That's right, under the 14th
Amendment.
I don't
care if you don't. Some lawyers say if you don't know your rights, you're not afforded them. Bull.
Yeah.
Why do when they Mirandize you, do they read you that right and ask everybody if they don't? And I'm telling you, my homeless peeps know their constitutional rights. You can hear them yelling out when Mayor Michael Hancock in Denver did that non-urban camping ban in 1 degree weather.
Right. Looks like we got a call coming in. Oh, could you hold on 1 second, Tina? I'll be right back. Okay, 1 second. Hello?
Hi, this is Ron from the English News Channel. Am I speaking to Peter Mathews?
Yes, you are.
Oh, excellent. I'm calling you, I'm not calling you at a bad time. I'm calling you to see if we can talk to you about President Trump's administration asking for the Supreme Court to reinstate the travel ban.
Okay, can you do me a favor? I'm tied up on a television show actually for the next 15 minutes till 9 o'clock. Could we talk at that time? I'll be happy to do that this evening for you.
Okay, fantastic.
Call me back at 9:05 or send me an email. Yeah, and I'll be right in touch with you. Okay.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, Tina and Michael. That was a call from a television station to talk about President Trump's reinstating the Muslim ban. So that's some breaking news. But I told them I'm going to hold off till 9 o'clock and finish our show first. So they'll call me back and email me after 9 o'clock. Let's continue with our show. Okay, what you were talking about.
Okay.
Go right ahead. You were talking about.
You want me to talk?
Either one, Michael or Tiffany, Tiffany, or Tina, about the human rights issue and the civil rights and civil liberties, which belong to every American, whether or not they're aware of it. It belongs to them, and the government cannot take those away. That's also part of the social contract.
All these federal laws, and like the 1964 Civil Rights Act, the ADA, American Disabilities Act, the Hate Crimes Act. Now the homeless fall under, thank goodness, because people beat them up, think it's funny. And some of them die.
And that's got to be, those are hate crimes. That's what it should be charged under, absolutely. And you're right, that's happening all the time to them.
Hate Crimes Act.
Yeah.
But, and then the United States Constitution, the supreme law of the land in these cities, and it's everywhere.
It's everywhere,
Pass an ordinance that violates federal law. Let me just let everybody know. It is not illegal to feed or share food with the homeless. It was ruled on in Tampa Bay, 2004. They food not bombs to the city of Tampa Bay. They went all the way up to the federal appellate court and won. The food inspectors and whatever, they hand out food every Saturday in the park. They came and took 6 homeless people and an advocate. I'm like,
no, is that what they did?
baloney.
And that's got to be unconstitutional, right? So what happened in that case? Since the case, the ruling already had gone through, what happened in that particular case?
Well, yes, they got a lawyer and they cited that case number, and it sets precedence. Judge, it sets precedence in the entire judicial system in America. So they don't care. You'll see these office mayors do not care. The cops are ordered to do this. You know, I always tell them caught in the middle because they'll lose their job. They're getting mayor gives orders to the chief of police gives orders to his patrol guys.
Yes.
I mean, it's just pathetic. There's 3 to 5 million people homeless in this country, and that's just enough.
Easily. Tina, may I just talk about that for a second, please? The count, it's way undercounted, isn't it? Because these volunteers that go out and count the homeless, they aren't able to reach everyone. And they do it at night, Tina, in January, when people in the middle of winter, when it'll be the hardest time to count anyone. Why is this national biennial count done in January in the middle of the night, or when it's dark?
Well, you know, the thing is, like, we just go by a number like this because God bless people who try to get a count. You can shelter. You cannot really get any head count, but they see one cold given night in January across the country. 10,000 homeless people in a shelter. Now, there are so many of my old timers from all over. I talk to them and they text me that don't want to get off the streets.
Right. So
they are now street people. And so a lot of them, and I mean a lot,
don't get counted.
They fly under the radar.
They don't get counted.
They don't ask for help.
Yeah.
They don't go into shelters. Don't get counted. So you can add probably another 500,000 of it, but all I know is 3 to 5 million.
Yeah, I must mention, Tina, there's a professor at I just looked at his research. He said that he estimated through extrapolation numbers, it's more like at least 2 million homeless people that with the numbers seem to indicate at least 2 million Americans are homeless. But that's a conservative number. You're saying 3 to 5. It's probably much more because you're right there in the trenches. You know it firsthand.
Oh yeah, and trust me, I interviewed by text because homeless people get free from the government. They don't have call minutes. They have text. I interviewed probably 200 to 400 of them across the nation, and because I was getting ready to interview the top dog of HUD. And they have misappropriated city funds all the way back to Hurricane Katrina, $800 million. They got a huge, more than a slap on the wrist last year. So much federal funding because of their little slick things. Everything they put out is ponytails, fairies, and fairy dust. That's BS because HUD does nothing. I'm sorry, this is my opinion. HUD, Housing and Urban Development. Yeah. They're urban, but are they housing or development? No. And I just talked to the top dog of HUD here in St. Louis last week, and it took me forever to get to him.
Wow.
And
look at that.
Does really interact with. We're discreet. We don't interact with the homeless people. I'm like, oh, that's really swell. Huh. And he says we just do the funding to the different organizations, not just the homeless, but people in need and stuff like that. It is so.
So look how out of touch they would be doing that. So out of touch.
I mean, and these guys, half of them haven't even heard of continuum of care. They're the ones that handhold you. They do an intake assessment on you, and then they handhold you through every service that you may need. First service is a free mental psych eval to see if you have a mental illness, because like 44% do. And some are so mentally ill, they don't know when to come off the streets when it's cold. Yeah. And so they get that, they get job skill training, they get social skills, how to relearn them. It's like coming out of all new rules to society. Having a home. They don't just throw them in the apartment and say, there you go, because most of them don't last.
Right. But, and that's where the Utah is doing a better job on that, the state of Utah. But go ahead.
Oh, you know, I love what they're doing in Utah, and I don't care what they say. They said they're down to like 1%. Well, you know, there's always going to be 50 studies that contradict that. And of course, you know, haters and everybody, they get on there and post that this is baloney, and it's more like 9%. Well, I would take 9% almost.
Yes.
In the state of Utah?
Yeah.
Outstanding. Some work with the homeless.
Right.
Like at the tent city encampment,
Mm-hmm.
always full of trash. And so some cities actually put up a waste management dumpster there for them.
Mm.
They
Yeah.
offer shower trucks. We do that too.
Right.
But only in one location because the mayor won't allow it in the other locations.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have this mayor, I'm sorry, she is racist because of what she says, and it's quoted with quotes from that. So, you know, she just wants, they said she preys on the vulnerable, and her panhandling proposal that got passed, which of course is a violation of the Constitution, disproportionately eats into the livelihood of the black citizens of St. Louis downtown city.
Mm-hmm.
Well, her commentary is, well, it's not really about that as I'm preying on them. It's about political clout. I want to bring in white business interests.
She actually said that.
I don't know about you guys. It was 5. I learned that was a racial slur.
She actually said that.
You know,
Is that Tina? She actually said that? It's so unbelievable. But I believe you though.
Right here.
Yeah, I believe you.
And then she's they're not hungry. This is their chosen career. Oh. They're not homeless. They're not hungry. Their chosen career. Cruising. They say her words express a lack of knowledge around the problems of poverty and homelessness. Mm-hmm. They also show a gaping absence of empathy. And she won. It's going to be a Holocaust in our city, except it's going to be cleanse the city of the muck, junk, being homeless. Yeah, they're really faking it. Their teeth are rotted out. They're in severe dental pain. That's why you have to off fruits them and stuff like that. But my backpack of hope, the city didn't even know I was handing out. It was all.
Yeah, well, we're just about out of time here, Tina and Michael. You know, we've got just a couple of minutes left, but we need to have you back again, on the show again, and then we can have a bigger conversation, include a lot of your friends from around the country can call in, you know. And we will get this going in the next couple of weeks or a month or so, get you back here and plan it and get more pictures. Let's go with pictures of you and figure out a way to get these pictures up here on the screen, which you sent me on the internet. Those are beautiful pictures and so important. Yeah.
20, 15 of them, they're all me volunteering at different bases.
And that showed a real wide range of people involved in this. Like that little baby girl you had in your arms, a toddler, a homeless toddler.
Goodness.
That was heartbreaking, wasn't it?
Late fall, that was that message in a meal with the pastor. Paul gives a sermon. I love him. He's so awesome. Yeah. And then the shower trucks come in and they get a catered meal. Because it has to come from a catered kitchen, or police will say no. But he rents out a pallet yard. So the police can't really come on there and do a thing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Smart. Then we give them a shower. They get a shower ticket, and then they come to us, and we're running around. They can pick out a pair of jeans, a shirt, a coat, whatever they need.
Yes.
Give it to them. So there's 3 of us running around. I was volunteering for a message and a meal and feed my peeps. So, and then after that, I get out there with all of them. I was even dancing with the kids, and they had me dancing to the music with the kids.
That's
it was
great.
So cute.
I'd like to see some video of that. That'll be good video. But Tina, we're going to have to say goodbye. I wanted to thank you both so much, Michael and Tina, for being on here and sharing your ideas, your thoughts, your feelings, and your heart and soul with us. This is very important that people who are not acquainted with the community, the homeless American community, that at least you have people who've experienced it. You folks have actually, you know it, you've lived it. You know exactly how people feel about this when they're in the situation. Am I right?
Michael was recently homeless, right, Mike?
Yeah, I was in a homeless shelter for a month in Eden, Oklahoma.
In Eden, Oklahoma, yeah. For a month, Michael? The last month or so?
Yeah, in February.
In February. Wow.
Yeah.
That's so you can speak right to that, you know, and you've just been there recently, Michael, and it's tremendous how you're doing so much good work. How about you, Tina?
I was in Chicago staying with a friend and my boyfriend at the time, and she's so nasty, she kicked me out. Thanks, Laura. And and I knew this was going to happen because she's so, you know.
Yeah.
But she threw me out in the pouring rain, didn't have a coat, nothing. And I just sat outside. I'm like, well, I guess I have to go to a homeless shelter. I didn't have that much money left on me to get selling stuff. So Chicago Police Department, 19th Precinct came and said, I even showed them my tattoo that says Homeless Lives Matter, my homeless
I saw the tattoo. Tina, I put that tattoo online. It was so touching and so real, you know, on your arm, right? It was on your arm. Homeless Lives Matter. Yes.
Homeless Lives Matter. It's from Charles Percelli. He's a homeless advocate out of, I believe, North Carolina or South Carolina, and he really tries to get the funds going and hands out the red T-shirts and hoodies, and I have pictures of all that.
His name is Charles Percelli. Is Charles Percelli?
Charles Percelli. P-R-C-E-L-L-I. He's awesome.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have to say.
My admin.
Yeah.
Are homeless. My admin in my group.
Your admin, yes.
Are homeless.
Oh yes. Well, this is really special for us to have you on here today, and we will definitely have you back really soon, both of you. And if you want to add anyone else who's involved, please do that. Okay, we'll be in touch on the phone and set it up. Is that okay?
Can we give it to our homeless group?
Yes.
It's on Facebook. It's called Our OUR Homeless. There's another group like that they have like 78 members. We have almost 4,000 in less than a year.
And what is the Facebook address once again, Tina?
It's on Facebook, and the name is called Helping Our OUR Homeless.
Let me repeat that. Helping Our Homeless, OUR.
Yes. We have another one. And it just started up recently, but we already have almost 3,000 members in it. It's only a few months old. Wow. Donations for the homeless and the poor in St. Louis, Missouri. That's for Missouri.
Donations for the homeless and the poor in St. Louis, Missouri?
In St. Louis. Yeah. But our main group is Helping Our Homeless. That's who everybody goes to. And even though that other group is building huge members.
Okay. We'll make sure we put that on. You know, we'll get that word out from our Facebook contacts through them. Of those, okay? Okay, I'm going to have to say goodbye. Unfortunately, it's almost 9 o'clock, about a minute left. I want to wrap this thing up. Let's say goodbye to Michael and Tina. Thank you so much. We'll talk real soon, all right?
All right.
And God bless you both. Okay, thank you again for being on here.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye. Take care. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's good to be back here again with you this Thursday night, but we'll be back next Thursday with another program. And I just wanted to thank Michael Tiffany and Tina Crawford, who are very important homeless advocates, very active, and they themselves had actually been homeless and have experienced that life, but they're also very knowledgeable about the struggles and about the Constitution and the rights of homeless people, the civil rights and economic rights of homeless people that we were talking about today. Extremely important, so please stay in touch with us on these issues, and we will, you can go to their page on Facebook as well, Helping Our Homeless is one of the major groups that they belong to and they have set up. So if you would tune in next Thursday also, I'd appreciate that, for Economic and Social Justice with Peter Mathews at the same place and the same time. It'll be 8 o'clock Thursday evening, 1 week from now. Thank you so much and good night. Take care.